So are you guys heading to your first ever sports card show and you're feeling overwhelmed because you don't know what to expect or what to do? Well, don't worry, because I was the same, and I even walked out of my very first ever card show feeling a little bit confused and like I hadn't achieved anything. That's why in this video I'm going to give you guys some tips to make your first or your very next card show your best and to maximize your card show experience. Now, I won't be covering tips as a dealer or a seller because I have no experience being one, but stay tuned for future content. And before we start, make sure you do leave a comment down below of one tip that you want to give out, because you never know who that tip will help. The first tip I'd give out, and which will cover the majority of this video, is to be prepared, and you guys are already on a great start by watching this video. First off, what I like to do if we're going down to basics is finding out details of the card show that you are going to in terms of what time it starts and who is selling there. Knowing these two basic things are quite important because getting there early gives you the earliest eye on any potential deals and to also map out a plan in your head. And in terms of knowing the sellers, if you've run into them into the past or know how they work, you can always go straight to them at the start and not waste any time. It's really all about efficiency at a card show, and when you're there, it's easy to be really enjoying everything, but unfortunately, card shows all have an end time, so you really need to be structured with how you spend your time. Another thing you need to also be prepared with is carrying cold, hard cash on you. At the end of the day, cash in hand is the most liquid asset possible, and it does provide people with something to use instantaneously to fund other cards. The benefit of card shows is that it's also the quickest and the easiest way to buy and sell cards, so cash is king. There's also no worry about having your card lost in the mail or even worrying about condition as much, because you can see it in hand. Nowadays, I do find that people have something like a Square card reader where I can use my debit card, and then also when I've run out of actual cash, I've also used PayID or PayPal as a payment method. There are definitely some great alternatives out there for cash, but I always try to have some on hand as it's preferable for other people as well. Another thing that is completely foreign in the shopping space, but not so much in the card space, is the ability to negotiate. Honestly, we all have that fear of rejection, and you do miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, but no sale price is ever final, and dealers come into card shows expecting to get offered on their cards. More times than not, there's going to be minimal judgment if you do ask under their asking price, which obviously contrasts the outside world if you did ask for a discount off your next shopping trip. At the end of the day, if you're really keen on a card, another alternative is trading, and dealers are really great at accepting either full trades or part trade, part cash on cards. Personally, I still haven't traded at a card show as I still prefer the buying and selling aspect, but I do see it constantly, and I think it's a great alternative if you're really after a card. Just keep in mind, if you're trading a card for a dealer's card, you're more than likely going to have to put up more trade value than actual cash value, as the dealer is doing you a favor. Make sure you have a plan generally for the show, whether your goal is to buy, sell, or even like in my own case, I always try to record content. Now, card shows are a bunch of fun, and there's always a nice amount of cards that are displayed that you guys have never seen before, but it's quite easy to lose track of time when you guys are there. The first hobby hangout I went to had so much going on that I only actually started looking at cards to purchase in the last hour of the show. And in terms of buying, if you have a budget, stick to looking at cards within that budget. Also, if you're selling at a show to another dealer, have a price in mind on what you'd want to take on your cards if you want to close a sale. The next thing I'd prepare for is the potential for your price lookup sites to be down and to have alternatives, or worse yet, back your own judgment and knowledge in. Now, I've always loved the famous quote, control what you can control, and unfortunately you can't control when a website might crash. Now, it may be due to a large amount of people trying to access the website and overloading the service, or even the site going through some maintenance. Either way, have your usual choices, and for me that's 130point.com. Whenever 130point.com is down, I like to use sellthepeak.com, and then whenever I can't find a comp on either website, I use Terapeak, which is an eBay store feature, and I can access sales that have been paid for over the last 2 years. I know other people like using Card Ladder or even market movers through Sports Card Investor, and there's no right or wrong answer, so just go with what you guys are comfortable with. Now, there may be that small chance that there is no reception at all, and that's when you just have to back in your own knowledge on comps to gauge prices. You can't really specifically practice this, but if anything, it does get better naturally the longer you are in the sports card hobby, and that flows perfectly onto my next tip, and that's to just go to more card shows. More people at card shows obviously benefits the entire community because we can get more buyers and sellers, and I found with a even more diverse crowd, you do see cooler cards put up for sale and even just for display. Personally though, just going to more card shows means you just know what to expect and you can be more efficient with your time there, and you're even better at finding deals. On top of that, you also get to meet like-minded people, and for me, that's one of my favorite parts about going to card shows, considering the amount of people I met on social media throughout COVID. Now, a tip most people wouldn't really think about, but try and dress comfortably as well. I'd say 99% of the time you're at a card show, you're on your feet, and more than likely it's on a hardwood floor. So I guess even though it's not card related, I did say I wanted to make your next card show experience your best, so I highly suggest to wear comfortable shoes and clothing. Don't forget, you're also going to be looking down the majority of the time, whether it's shuffling through cards or looking down at people's showcases. So make sure you give your neck a little stretch afterwards and make sure you maintain movement to reduce stiffness after a show. All right, so the last tip I'm going to give out, and this one is a bit of a bonus tip that I didn't really want to give out, but it's to look for players that have popped off lately. Now, why I say that is you have potential sellers who are oblivious to player performance and may not have changed their prices from previous card shows, and you have that chance to pick up cards under comps. I do have a great example from the last Hobby Hangout, which was a few months ago in March. So around that period, Damian Lillard did pop off for a 70-point game on top of a 38-point and 7-assist average for the month of February. And I was fortunate enough to find some Damian Lillard rookies under comps by a fair bit because his prices did spike in line with his performance. And look, this wasn't enough to break the bank, but I did make an easy $60 on a small transaction, and look, it covers your ticket and your food for the day. So that's it for a quick summary of some of my favorite card show tips. I don't know everything, but I do like to share my knowledge with you guys, and I also want you guys to get the same amount of joy and excitement I get at a card show. And as I said at the start of the video, make sure you guys leave a comment down below of a tip that you'd like to give out. Also, make sure you guys smash the like button down below, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys all in future videos. Take care.